Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Okay, I really wanted to start the house today, but we're going to do French knots instead because if we do the house tomorrow, it's the teaching hoop. If we do the house tomorrow, then you have the whole weekend to finish it. Whereas I feel like if we do start the house today, then you'll feel like pressure to get it done before tomorrow. And that's like not the case at all. So we're going to do French knots today. And yes, this is the teaching hoop. So yeah, let's get started. So what we're going to do with French knots is I always suggest, what is loose here? So like training wheels, absolutely. So this is where you can kind of mess it up if you need to before we do the French knots on the real hoop. Now, the French knots, what we're going to use is you can use them. It's your choice. You can choose. But you can put them in the center of these flowers here if you want to. Definitely in the center of these flowers. And we're actually going to be doing some satin stitches in the middle, and I'll show you at the end of the video. And then all around it are going to be little French knots like this. Yeah, artist's drawing. Beautiful. So each one of these little balls here are actually going to be, they're going to turn into little flowers. Yeah. So sometimes French knots are the whole flower. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole flower is just the French knot. Sometimes you can put them all together and make like a cluster of flowers, like yarrow is really good, or yarrow. French knots are good for those. Yeah, we're going to learn all kinds of stuff. So what I like to do for French knots is make a grid. So when you have the knots, you can do really small knots all the way to really big, fat, fluffy knots. So to achieve this, you use different size strands or a different number of strands and different wraps around your needle. So I'm going to do a couple first to show you just the general technique, and then I'll do the grid down here at the bottom. It's just like a regular grid. And then I'll show you 1 strand, 3 strands, and 6 strands. And then you can kind of have a little look at how many wraps make a really small one, how many wraps make a really big one, and then you can choose yourself on your own project how many strands and how many wraps that you like. I know that was a lot. I'm sorry. I get really excited over French knots, because I feel like it's something that a lot of people, they can't get. They just keep saying like, I just can't get them. I don't know why, I just can't. So I love teaching people who think they can't do it, and then in the end they can. I'm going to choose like this light pink color because I know you'll be able to see the thread really well. Sometimes if you choose a darker color, the stitches kind of all blend together, so hopefully you'll be able to see it with a lighter color, or maybe a brighter color like pink. Yeah, I'll use this one. It's just practice anyways. So first I'm going to show you just how to do a regular French knot, the method, if you will. So with this one, it's just a practice. So please don't stitch like with me right now because I'm just showing you. You need to have a knot on the end. Pink is good on camera. And let me zoom in really close so that you can actually see. I'm not going to zoom in all the way because you need to see both my hands. So let's just do a little bit closer. All right. This is one of those stitches that you're going to need both of your hands to either pick up the hoop or hold the other thread. So the way you do a French knot is you come up from the back like this. And you're going to have to, if you don't have a hoop stand, you're going to have to put your hoop on your lap for this and then pick it up at the same time later. So just have a think about that. Yeah. So we'll do just 1 wrap to start, just so that you can see how it's done. So you're going to hold this here in your left hand, and I'll do it with my left hand and my right hand after I do a couple. I'll do it with my left hand so people who are left-handed can see. So you're gonna hold this here with your left hand, yeah? Not tight, you don't wanna pull it tight, just loose. You're gonna put your needle over top. You're gonna take this here and wrap it around. Again, loose. You don't wanna be like this. You don't wanna have it like complete tension there. You want it to just be a loose wrap, yeah? And you're gonna put your needle down like right above where you came up, yeah? And you're gonna shimmy that knot right here, this wrap, all the way down so that it's at the base of the needle and like touching the fabric, okay? So this right here is where you need to pick your hoop up, but also don't let go of this thread right here. Yeah, so I like to put my thumb on it here and the rest of my fingers, see if I can't turn it. Oh man, I made it too tight. Yeah, so the rest of my fingers are picking it up from the back and I'm just putting my thumb here to hold that. And you're gonna push it through. And do not let go with your thumb. Do not let go until you're almost all the way through. Yeah? So that's 6 strands, 1 wrap. Okay? So let's do it again. So I'm not gonna move my hand around this time. I'm just gonna show you a fluid motion. So I'm gonna come up from the back, pull it through, needle on the top, 1 wrap, and put it down just above. Shimmy that thread all the way down. Keep your thumb there. Keep holding that. What happens is if you don't hold that, sometimes these threads here get all tangled up before the needle goes all the way down. And then you actually have a knot on top of a knot on there. Okay? So let me try. Oh, excuse me. Let me try to do it with my left hand. Okay? This is how it would look. So you're going to come up from the back. Pull it all the way. Your right hand will be like this. This feels so weird, okay? Needle on the top, wrap around and put your needle straight down. I'm only looking through the camera, so I hope that this is right. And you're gonna shimmy that down like this. Yeah? Keep your finger on this thread and push this all the way down. There you go. So there's 1 wrap, and I'll zoom in and you can see how it's got a nice little knot to it. Did I do it? Did I do it? Woo! So there you go. So now we'll do 2 wraps because like I said, you can do a different number of wraps. So 1, 2, to make a different size of knot. Yeah, so it's 2 wraps. One, 2. There we go. And we'll do 1 more. Okay, and now we'll do 3 wraps. So 6 strands, 3 wraps. It makes a nice big knot like that. Now some people really love French knots. It's kind of like satin stitch, where some people really love them and they could do them like all day. And some people even do a whole hoop with just French knots. Make sure that you're shimmying all of that thread down to the base where the fabric and the needle meet. If not, you're gonna finish with a really funky looking, situation. So on the back, it just looks like that. I'm just going to chew a little knot on the back. So what we've done here is this is 6 strands. 6 strands. And then we have 1 wrap, 2 wraps, and 3 wraps. So now I'll do 3 strands. And this is going to make a little grid. So let me just split my thread. Someone asked about splitting thread yesterday. So now I have 3 strands. We're going to do the exact same thing, but with 3 strands. Now, if you haven't ever made a grid like this before with French knots, I strongly recommend it. One, it's really great practice if you've never done, if you've never done French knots before. But also it gives you a really nice little grid to kind of see all the different sizes. So 3 strands, 1 wrap, and I'll just do a couple. Actually go quite quickly once you get them. You don't want to pull too tight either when you pull your thread down, or you can pull this knot all the way through to the back. And that's not really that nice. You can, I mean, if you do pull it through, my fabric is too tightly woven, but if you do pull it through, you can always just do another knot right on top of it. So it's not like the end of the world. So we'll do 3 strands and 2 wraps. Those of you who have already seen this like so many times, I'm really sorry. So 1 wrap, 2 wraps, and this one is 3 wraps. 3 strands, 3 wraps. You can kind of see how some of the knots look a little bit similar, like 6 strands and 1 wrap looks very similar to 3 strands and 3 wraps. So when you are stitching and say that you have 3 strands already and you think, oh, I just want to put a couple knots in the middle, but I only have 3 strands and I want to make that size, you can always just wrap it more or less times to get the desired size knot. So there's 3. And then I'll do 1. Obviously you can do 4 strands, 5 strands, 6 strands, 2 strands. You can do however many strands that you want. I wouldn't go much over 3 wraps, only because the knot doesn't really lay flat like these do. The one side tends to kind of go like that, because really you've got just the one thread, the 6 strands of thread, if you know what I mean, going through, and all of the wraps that you do kind of lay on the outside. So if I zoom in on the 6 strands, 3 wraps, you can see that really well. So you've got just the 1 strand going here, and then you've got the wraps going around the outside there. And that's what makes that little, almost like a shell kind of pattern, you know, like a big circle. So let's do 1 strand. 1 strand is really great if you want to do like a little seeds, like in the middle of a flower, like really tiny. And of course I'm going to change my needle because 1 strand is really, really thin. So I want to make sure that these don't fall down, meaning fall down like through the thread. So I do love French knot day, but I feel like it always takes like a little bit longer than I think it will. So we've got 1 strand, 1 strand, 1 wrap. Look how little and cute they are. They're so little. You probably won't use this one very often. Maybe for like dotting the I if you're doing any lettering or writing. That's really nice. So let's do 2 wraps. A little bit bigger. And then obviously 3 wraps will be even a little bit bigger. Oops, 2. 2 wraps for this one. Now, some mistakes that I see people make is putting their needle up. And then after they wrap it, they put their needle down too far away. And that's actually a different stitch. That's the pistol stitch. So I will show that really quickly because we might be using it. I mean, might be because you can choose if you want to use it or not. So right after this, I'll show you. So I've got 3 here. 1 strand, 3 wraps. So there you go. So these ones here are even much smaller than here. Now the pistol stitch is where you come up at the bottom. A colonial knot is where you, I'll do the pistol stitch first and then we'll talk about the colonial knot. So the pistol stitch is where you do your wraps, but you don't come down right next to it. You come down a ways away. And it makes a line with a knot at the end. So let me zoom in and maybe you can see it a little bit better. So these right here, we might use them for the flowers all the way to the left. So do you see how that makes a little line with the knot at the end? So I could see these being really great for like antennae on like animals, butterflies, or something like that. But they're also good for those little flowers that have the long, what are they called? Like stamen or something? You know, the long like things like lilies have them. Do you know what I'm talking about? Now the colonial knot, I actually don't like it, and I can never get it to do it right, and they take longer. But that's where you kind of make an 8 almost with your thread. So you like wrap it and then wrap it and wrap it, almost like that, and your thing goes in the middle. Do you know what I mean? Stamen, yes. I might teach you a different day, but I'm not going to teach you today because I don't really like stamen. Good for cow, parsley, umbels. Very interesting. So yeah, so this is the grid. So what I talk about when I do the grid. It looks like too much work. I'll stick to French knots. But actually there's a way that you, because I'm not going to like thread my needle and like do the whole thing, you know, but there is a way that you hold it and you like go around, but then like you catch the back of it as well. Do you know what I mean? So it makes almost like an 8 around your needle and then you stick it down. But to each their own. They do have a bit of a different look to them, but French knots I find are easier. 1, easier to teach, and 2, easier to do. They're just a bit quicker. So there you go. This is the grid if you wanted to do the lines, you know, down the middle to make the grid. That's how it would look. You could also do, again, 2 strands, 4 strands, 5 strands to really, you know, get the whole picture. But it's great to have one of these hoops next to you as you're stitching so that you can practice any new techniques, but then also have a think about, ooh, I need to do this one, or ooh, I like the look of that one, or I need something more delicate, I'll choose this one. So I'll stop talking there, okay? Put this one in. Come on, get in there. Okay, so let's do these little flowers, and then we can see about the other French knots. So we're going to do these ones here. Just here. So I'm going to do 3 strands I'm gonna pick like a yellow, maybe like a light yellow. Go away. And what I'm gonna do is just do a couple little satin stitches or straight stitches just across the middle of these circles. They don't have to be perfect because remember, we're going to do an outline of French knots. Do you know what? I'm good. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie said, how are you anyway, Tori? I'm good, you know. I am. There's a bit of a kerfuffle with like PDF patterns on Etsy. I think more people are getting into embroidery and they don't realize that you cannot get a full 8-inch hoop bouquet of flowers stitched for $10. You know? So that was a little bit irritating, but other than that, it's all been good. So what I'm gonna do, you can always make these different colors as well. I'm just gonna make all of mine the same one so it's a little bit quicker for you guys and we can get to the French knot part. But all we're gonna do is just do a couple little stitches across the way. Because remember, we're gonna outline with the French knot. So these don't have to be perfect. We're just gonna fill in the circle. Hi, Teresa. How are you, Carrie? Are you still hanging in there? Ooh. Is Meg here today? I haven't seen her at work for a while either. I haven't seen her either. I think she joined yesterday for a little bit. Maybe I'll send her a message after this. Do you guys just not work the same shifts at the moment? I thought it was going to be nice today, but it's actually a little bit cloudy right now. I thought maybe I'd go and read a book in the backyard, finish my house, you know? So last night I started another house, like another sample house for the middle. I'll show you that one if you want after this. Now, generally, if you've been here before, I don't like skipping around like this, but because it's such a light colored thread, you're not going to see it anyways behind the hoop. So it should be fine. But if you're using a really dark color for the middles, I would absolutely think about doing each one and then putting a knot, cutting, starting again. Saying that, we are going to cover them all up, all the stems and stuff. So maybe it would be okay. Carrie says, yeah, I'm good, thanks. Work is crackers again. 3 a.m. I got home this morning. Meg finishes just as I start, so we usually see each other at changeover. Oh, that's good. Good that you see each other at least, usually, even though you haven't been seeing her. Okay. So yeah, I've started another house. I did this one dark blue on this like a natural colored linen. I think it's gonna look so cute. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with the houses, guys. But those will be like easy ones for me to just like sit in the backyard and make some flowers around it. And it'll be really nice and relaxing. Carrie says it reminds me of the little house from Up. Oh, it does look like that, doesn't it? I don't even remember what that one looks like, really. But it kind of looks like my house in Toledo, except we don't have the point in the middle. Our roof is flat down, so it doesn't have this part. It just has this part. But that's what our house looked like. It had a front door and then a window, just like that. Why did I say looked like? Because my parents still live there. That's what it looks like. I guess because they added on a long time ago, but they added on, so now it doesn't quite look like that anymore. Okay, I only have one more to do. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do these really quickly. Oh no, Susanna says I redid 3 flowers. That's okay. My rule of thumb is if you look at it and you absolutely hate it, you're always gonna hate it. So a lot of people are like, ooh, just tell me what you think. Should I change it? What should I do? That's up to you, hon. You know, if you absolutely hate it every time you look at it, you're gonna hate it. So if you think, well, I don't hate it that much, then you could probably leave it. Okay, that's good enough. Just done those ones. Do a little knot on the back. Okay, now this is the French knot part. So you're gonna have to pick a color. That 1 is gonna look good with this color, but 2, we're gonna have French knots all the way around the outside, just like I showed you before. So you could do like a purple, that might look nice. A dark blue, that's definitely another purple. A dark blue, literally any color you want, you could pick. I might do like a dark red, a dark red. Let's see. It might be hard for you to see it though. What if I do purple? No, I'll do red. Guys, what am I like? Can't choose. I can't choose any colors. I want to use them all. Okay, so I'm going to pick 2 strands because I want my French knots around the outside to be quite small. Come on. This thread does not want to separate. I only need 2. Got it. All right, here we go. So the way that you can see how big the knot is going to be before, I made a little poem there, didn't I? Before you actually put your needle all the way through and commit, is to put it down just a little bit and then have a look at how big the knot is. And I'll show you how to do that as well. Marianne's just said, I'm so bad at choosing colors. I just want to use them all. Yes. Oh. I always find that I always reach for the same ones, you know, the same colors over and over and over. So part of me is like, oh, I really want to use that one again. But then I'm like, oh, we used that one before. So maybe I shouldn't, you know? Okay, so what you need to do, I'll zoom in a little bit more because I already showed you how to do the French knot. So now it's just doing them, you know? What you're gonna do, I'll show you on this one. You're gonna come up really close to it. Yeah, pull her through and then see how many knots that, or how many wraps that you need. So I've got 2 strands on here. Yeah. So let's try 3. 1, 2, 3. Put it right down next to it. And to see if you think that's going to be a good idea, just leave it like that. Just leave it like that for a minute and see. Do I need them bigger? Do I need them smaller? That's probably a good size for me. Because once you pull that thread through, you really can't undo it unless you cut out the whole knot, meaning you pull it like this, cut it out, and start all over again. There's really no way to undo it. Whereas other ones, if you do a little stitch and you think, oh, that stitch is crooked, you can easily just pull it out and try again. See what I mean about the darker colors being harder to see? This is only just a little bit darker. Already, I feel regret about this color. regret, regret. And you're gonna put them really close together, closer than I'm doing. I'm just gonna go back and do another one in the middle of these two. I want it to be all the way around. Doesn't this look like a curly-haired child? Like I could slap a face on it and it would look like a curly-haired person. Okay, so one big problem with French knots, let me zoom out, is you're always twisting your thread around your needle. And what happens is that your thread, let me loosen this. Your thread starts to go like this. Do you see it? How it's starting to get twisty? So what you need to do is flip your hoop over upside down and let your needle dangle and it will untwist itself. So the minute you start seeing when you put your thread up like this, it start to twist and go like this. Yeah, that's when you know you need to take it and untwist it, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna get a knot on the top of your knot before you even pull it through. And then you're gonna have a really bad time. So zoom it in again. Put it in the right place. Now, obviously you can make these bigger or smaller. Totally up to you. These will go all the way around. So a really common like thread pairing or stitch pairing, I should say, is the satin stitch on the outside and the French knots on the inside. So this is like switching that up. So these ones here, we'll do satin stitch on the outside, and we can either do a satin stitch or French knot on the inside here. But this is a nice way to switch it up and make it look like it's not necessarily typical, you know? Let's see if I have something dark to put next to it so you can like actually see. Not dark enough. There you go. Can you see them? So there you go. So what we're going to do is continue and do all of these exactly the same. And you can change colors if you want to. You could do like a light pink on one, or kind of do every other one if you wanted. Like 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3 and do them. But that's up to you. You choose how you want to do it. I think it's quite a cute little thing. So I'm not really sure if I completed my thought earlier, but if you ever wanted to try and see how many wraps and then you don't want to do it, you can always, so I've just done 2, shimmy it down, and then obviously if you don't like it, then just take it out and it will, you know, it will be undone. So this is really all that we're doing today. We're just doing these flowers here with the French knots and the satin stitches or straight stitches. They don't have to be neat and tidy in the middle. Literally just fill them in and then do the, I kind of want to leave them like that and put little faces on them so they look like little kids. Cracks me up. I don't know why. And then you can choose to today if you want to. Or you can do it on like the details day, but you can choose whether you want to fill this here in with the French knots these 3 here with French knots. The size, number of threads, wraps, that's totally up to you. And then we are also going to do these middles here with French knots. So at the moment, those are the only 4 places you should be putting your French knots. So these 3 flowers, these here, because that is the flower. That's the flower we're doing. And if you wanted to fill these in as well, you could. But we're also going to have a details day. So if you want to wait until details day, it's normally towards the end of the stitch along. Of course, you can wait until then and see like what are all of the options. Enunciate your words. Yeah, so we can add some more little straight lines here. You can do another, there's all kinds of things that you can do, you know? So if you want to wait, you can wait. If you want to just plow through and do it now, you can, of course. Tomorrow we're going to do this house right here. Only the actual house part. So this right here. So pick a color that you want for your house. And this is a good time to pick the roof color as well. So we're not going to do both tomorrow because it's too much work. But you want to have the colors that kind of go together. So it might be a good time, like in the daylight, to try out different colors together and just have a look. I'll show you my colors again. This is mine. So I used, I think I wrote it down. 3787 for the roof. And then the details on top is 646. And then the color of the house, I think it's just a white or like an ecru color. I don't have that one written down. Yeah, it's just like ecru. So it's just that like off-white color. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely day. Don't forget to go to the hashtag the Barmy Fox SAL. Go and leave some love on some people's projects, their embroideries. Say some nice things, give some likes. You do have to do all 6 flowers today at the minimum, okay? If you don't want to do the grid, you don't have to do the grid, of course. You could skip it if you wanted. But it is good practice because if you mess up on this one, then you definitely have to cut it out. There's no real like redemption, you know, where you can just undo one. Unfortunately, it's a really big pain. So have a go on a practice hoop. And yeah, be sure to tag me at the Barmy Fox. And I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Bye.